Hey, boys and girls, welcome back to our Faith Over Fear series. I'm glad that you have decided to come back and learn about more Bible characters and how their faith in God helped them to get through tough times in their lives. We have another exciting story to share with you, and it's about two women. Yes! Before we do, let's listen to a new Faith Over Fear theme song. Did you enjoy that new song? I like it. I thought it was really cool. Before we start talking about the Bible characters for this lesson, I just want to share a few words with you. I know that school will be starting pretty soon, and it won't be like any other back-to-school year. For many of you, school will be done virtually, meaning you will sit in front of a computer or tablet and receive your lessons from your teacher for at least the first 9 weeks and possibly the entire school year. I understand that it will be hard not being able to see your friends and teachers in person and not being able to enjoy all of the activities you normally are able to do when you're in school. But remember that learning will still take place, and you need to put your best foot forward and do the very best that you can. God will be with you to help you get through this year, no matter what. He loves you, and so do I. Have a great school year. Last time we were together, we learned about Noah and the ark. God wanted Noah to build an ark because he was going to destroy the earth. People were not living right, and they would not change their bad behavior. So God made it rain for 40 days and 40 nights, which caused a great flood, and everything was destroyed except for Noah's family and the animals that God told Noah to bring into the ark. Do you remember? So at the end of that lesson, I asked you 3 questions, and I wanted you to share your answers with a family member. 1, Why did God cause a great flood to come upon the earth? God caused this great flood because the people were mean, evil, they were living an ungodly life, and God was not pleased. They would not change their behavior. 2. Why did God tell Noah to bring 2 animals of each kind onto the ark? God told Noah to do this so the animals would be able to have babies, and those babies would have babies, and soon there would be thousands and thousands of animals on the earth. And finally, why did God place a rainbow in the sky after the flood? After the flood, God made a promise to Noah. He told Noah that he would never destroy the earth again with a flood, and the rainbow was a sign or symbol to show his promise. So how did you do? I suspect you are good listeners, so I'm betting you answered every question correctly. Yay! Good job. Now we are going to learn about 2 women, and their names are Ruth and Naomi. Have you ever heard of them? Their story is found in the Bible in the book of Ruth. Ruth and Naomi were family, and they experienced some sadness and hard times. But let's see how their faith in God brought them through to see brighter days ahead. Make sure you pay close attention because you will have to answer questions along the way.
The Holy Tales.
Hello, my name is Tubby. I live here in this wonderful library and I love to eat books. I live here with my friends Gumbo and Freckles. Gumbo, Freckles, come out, wherever you are. Over there, on that great book, is Grand Old Holy. She is really old and wise and tells us wonderful stories when she is awake, that is. Oh, and we love to sing. Beneath his wings of love abide, God will take care of you. God will take care of you through every day or all the way. Hello, Holy. It's time for you to tell us a story from the Bible.
Yes. Today, I will tell you a story about a great woman called Ruth. But I am sure you know what you have to do after I'm done with my story.
Yes, we know. At the end of the story, you will ask us a question which we have to answer correctly.
Absolutely. So let's not waste any more time. Let's begin with the story. A long time ago, there was a famine in Israel. A man named Elimelech from Bethlehem went with his family to live in the country of Moab. His wife's name was Naomi, and they had 2 sons called Mahlon and Chilion. After a few years had passed, Elimelech died. His sons married 2 Moabite women called Oprah and Ruth. About 10 years later, Mahlon and Chilion died too. So Naomi was left with 2 of her daughters-in-law and no husband or sons. Sometime later, Naomi heard that the Lord had blessed Israel. There were good crops again, and the famine was over. She decided that it was time to return to Bethlehem, her hometown. Before she was leaving, she told her daughters-in-law not to leave their land and stay back with their mothers. But both the women wanted to go with her to Bethlehem in Israel. Naomi tried to make them understand why they should stay back and not go with her. Finally, she could make Oprah understand who decided to stay back. But Ruth refused to leave her. Naomi said to her, "Your sister-in-law has decided to stay with her people and be loyal to her God. You should also stay back with her." But Naomi could see that Ruth had made up her mind to go with her. So she said nothing more. They traveled together and finally reached Bethlehem. The people of Bethlehem were very happy to see them. So children, wasn't that a wonderful story? Well, today's question is, what was the name of the town where Elimelech and Naomi were from?
It was called Moab. No, silly. They were from a town called Bethlehem. Isn't that correct, Holly?
Yes, it was Bethlehem. Moab is where they moved to.
Oh, I got confused. There were so many names today.
It's all right, dear. Now all of you can go back to singing while I take my nap. Bye, kids. Hello, kids.
Hi, Holly. It's time for you to tell us another story from the Bible.
Well, I will tell you a story. This is the story of a loyal daughter-in-law, Ruth.
Oh, great! Another story about a good woman. I love stories about women. Me too.
Today's story is about Ruth working in the field of Boaz. A long time ago, Naomi, a widow, and her daughter-in-law, Ruth, also a widow, had left Moab, where they had lived, and gone back to their hometown, Bethlehem. They were poor and had almost nothing. It was a custom in Bethlehem to allow poor people to pick up the leftover corn during harvest time. One day, when they had nothing to eat, Ruth said to Naomi, "This is harvest time. Let me go to the fields to gather some grain and find someone who will be kind to me." Naomi let her go. So Ruth went out to the fields to gather grains for her mother-in-law and herself. There was a rich and well-known man named Boaz. It so happened that Ruth was in the fields which belonged to him. She walked behind the workers, picking up the heads of the grain which they left. At mealtime, Boaz called Ruth and asked her to eat with the workers. She ate till her hunger was satisfied and then started again to gather grains. Boaz ordered the workers,
"Let her gather grain even where the bundles are kept. Don't stop her. Pull out some heads of grain from the bundles and leave them for her to pick up."
Ruth worked in the field for the whole day, gathered a large basket full of grain, and went back home. Ruth shared food with Naomi and told her that she had worked in the field of a man named Boaz.
That was so nice of Boaz.
Yes, Tubby, Boaz was a very generous man. So the question today is, what was the custom of Bethlehem during harvest?
I will answer the question. The custom was to let the poor people pick up grains from the field during harvest.
Very good, Freckles.
Now you may go back to sleep, Holly. We shall come back soon for another story. Bye.
Goodbye, children.
Wake up, Holly. Wake up. It's story time.
Yes, it is. Today's story is about how good things happen to good people. It is the story of a good woman named Ruth and a man named Boaz getting married. Long time ago, there was a wealthy and kind man named Boaz. He lived in Bethlehem. One day, Ruth, a poor widow, happened to go to his field to pick up grains for her mother-in-law, Naomi, and herself. Boaz was extremely kind to her, especially because she was such a good daughter-in-law, and allowed her to pick up baskets full of grain. Boaz became very fond of Ruth, and so, a few days later, he asked Ruth to marry him. The Lord blessed them with a son, whom they named Obed. The people of Bethlehem were very happy, and they praised the Lord. One of the women went and said to Naomi, "The Lord has given you a grandson to take care of you. May the boy become famous in Israel. Naomi loved the baby boy and Ruth with all her heart. Ruth had left her own hometown so that her mother-in-law would not be alone. Ruth had done more for her than even her own sons would have done had they lived. Naomi picked up the baby boy, held him close, and took care of him. She knew this child would bring new life to her and protect her in her old age. It was because of Obed that the kings of Israel were partly descendants of foreigners, since his mother, Ruth, was originally from Moab. Obed had a son called Jesse, whose son would become King David. So although the Israelites were special people, God used others as well to carry out his plans.
Oh, so now I get it. Obed was King David's grandfather. Yes, so what's the question for today, Holly?
Today's question is, what was Obed's son called? Or, what was King David's father's name?
Obed's son and King David's father's name was Jesse.
Excellent, kids!
Come on, Gumbo. Come on, Freckles. Let's sing our song. Holly, you can join us too. It's within my heart a melody. Jesus whispers sweet and low.
Wow, another great story. Do you know how Ruth and Naomi were related? Let me see if I can help you figure it out. Naomi had 2 sons, and Ruth married one of them, so Ruth became Naomi's daughter-in-law. Just like in families today, when you grow up and get married, you will become a daughter or son-in-law to the family of the person you married. I know it's a bit confusing, but when you decide you want to get married, it will become real clear. Naomi and her family moved from Bethlehem to Moab because there was a famine in their city, meaning there wasn't much food to eat. While they were in Moab, Naomi's husband died and her 2 sons. So that meant that Ruth and Naomi became widows. When a woman's husband dies, she is called a widow. I'm sure that Ruth and Naomi were very sad and felt very alone because their husbands were dead. Even today, we lose family members, friends, pets who are close to us, and we feel sad. And sometimes we don't understand why a person had to die. But God is always there to help us get through those times of sadness. And our sadness is turned to joy because we know that the person who died is living with God in heaven. So after a while, Naomi heard that the famine in her hometown was gone, and she decided to move back. She told Ruth to go back to live with her own people, but Ruth told Naomi that she wanted to stay with her. Ruth loved Naomi and wanted to be with her and her people and worship her God. So together they went back to Jerusalem. After a while, Ruth met a wealthy man named Boaz. They got married and had a son named Obed. Guess what? Obed had a grandson named David, the same David we talked about in our first Bible lesson. Remember the story of David and Goliath, the big giant? David also became a king, and Jesus, the Christ, was born from that family. Isn't that amazing? Families are very important. We all belong to a family that we love. It doesn't mean that we always get along with our family members and we don't have ups and downs at times, but the love for our family is always there. Just like Ruth, she loved Naomi dearly and wanted to stay with her and live among her people and love her God. Ruth experienced sadness when her husband died. loneliness when she moved to a homeland different from her own, and hunger when they didn't have food to eat. But her faith in God brought her through, and she lived a happy life. So remember that no matter what problems you may have at home, school, church, or wherever you are, God will make a way for you and help you if you just believe. He's always there. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Before we go, here's another exciting song for you to listen to. Bye!
This the light of my